The UFC Saturday. I said this Friday. I'm not that excited about this card, but a lot of times
You never know.
You never know. Before we get to the fight everyone's talking about, please keep in mind that before Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman fought, the fight before that was Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa. And I actually tweeted out, again, before the Usman fight, I said, I've covered this sport since the first fight. I've never seen a performance like Rockhold's in my life. I already had seen something I deem number one. And by the way, not the best performance, not the most surprising. I merely mean Luke Rockhold, who had been out of the fight game for 3 years. You know, used to be fantastic, big, muscular guy, huge kicks, very entertaining fighter. And he's coming back against a guy, Paulo Costa, who is 14-2. You know, not the Paulo Costa he used to be, but a very, very good fighter. I think Luke Rockhold forgot that Salt Lake City is at elevation. And towards the end of round one, we're all turning to each other saying he's looking for a way to quit. And so I'm going over like, well, is he going to slip himself into a rear naked choke? What it was, Jason, it was at the point where Luke would throw this looping punch. And his nose was broken. His mouth was wide open. He was breathing. And there were points where you never see this in fights where, yeah, you're the fighter in front of me and I'm Luke Rockhold. He's got his hands on his knees and his head up. He can't stay up. And then he get hit with some crazy shot, right? And you're like, oh, here we go. He's going down. And then boom, he just fire a kick or a punch that would stagger Paulo Costa. This happened for the remainder of the fight. You're like, what is possibly keeping Luke Rockhold up? He looks like he's in pain. He can't breathe. His nose is dripping blood. I mean, the amount of blood he lost has to be insane. It was all over the mat. He's leaning against the fence. He's turning his back and walking. I mean, doing all the things where you're wondering if I think it was Herb Dean, if the ref's going to stop in. Well, it was either Herb Dean or the one that looks like Gimli from Lord of the Rings with the braids. And then even at the end of the fight, not only does he land punches, but then he was on his back. You figure that's where the fight was going to end. He reverses it. And as the blood is gushing out of his face, Jason, he starts wiping his face all over. You saw that?
That was
very disgusting.
Yes.
All I'm saying is, I've never seen a performance like that. And it seemed, maybe we were wishing for it, but it seemed like he was very close to getting the insane surprise knockout. And had that happened, that would have been maybe the rockiest. And I'm not talking Bonner, Griffin, and stuff like that. I'm talking about how one-sided it was, how out of it he was. That might have been the rockiest finish ever.
But then you got the rockiest finish.
Then you got the rockiest finish from a guy named Leon Edwards, who is Rocky. As time is expiring, he throws a perfect left jab to hide his intentions, causing Kamaru Usman to dodge to his right. And oh my God, there's all of Edwards' shin to Usman's face. And that was it. A guy who many thought was the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, a guy who was 20-1, a guy who Dana White said was the best ever in that division, a division that, oh, by the way, has included guys like George St. Pierre. Very good division. And by the way, I can't really get mad at Dana for that because Usman was just mowing through everyone.
Yeah.
It was, I've had a weekend to think about this, Jason. When you consider the stakes, when you consider the odds, when you consider how the fight had gone, when you put it all of it in perspective, because I hate hyperbole, I hate recency bias. It's the greatest knockout in UFC history. It's the greatest, it's not the best looking one. It's not no. Put all the factors together that you have. This is a championship fight against a guy that doesn't lose, against a guy. Here's the thing about this. There's immediately going to be a 3. It sounds like it'll probably be at Wembley Stadium. That's one of the things pointed out. This was their second fight. Speaking of social media, Jason, I grabbed my phone.
Oh, social media went nuts.
I grabbed my phone and I had half of a tweet. In fact, I still have that because I took a screenshot. Half of a tweet. Extremely disappointed in Edwards finishing this fight. Looks like Usman finally broke him. Respect greatness. I was writing the tweet to send at the end of the round, and thank God there's a voice in my head saying never do that until it's over. No disrespect to Edwards. He got dominated in the fight. He had a good first round. And then Usman just broke him down, dominated it. And then in the last round, it just looked like Edwards was just running out the clock. Everything up until that kick, except for the first round, which wasn't exactly dominant. He surprised Usman with a takedown, and he won the round 10-9. Everything about that fight from that point on was domination by Usman. It was the same fight pretty much as the beginning, except Edwards had better takedown defense. Kamaru Usman won 3 and 2/3 rounds, and really almost 4. The only comparison I can find that I can think of was in Oakland. I was lucky enough to be there years and years ago, but not a knockout. It was when Chael Sonnen dominated an invincible Anderson Silva for 4 3/4 rounds, and then damn near put himself, it seemed like, into a triangle choke, and Silva was able to defend his title. This was reversed. It was a knockout, and it was the underdog doing it.
Yeah.
All credit to Edwards. I do not think anything less of Usman, and it will shock me if he's not a heavy favorite in their third fight.
Well, and it's like we always say with combat sports, whether it's boxing or MMA, that UFC, when you're in that puncher's chance, right? Mm-hmm. One connection, and the fact that it was closing seconds, the fact that the power behind it, the fact that social media, I mean, just went bizarre. And we joked earlier about Joe Rogan. His reaction, just everybody's reaction was totally floored by that.
It wasn't a great card. It wasn't filled with entertaining fights, but the entertainment level and I will never forget the Rockhold fight, and I will never ever forget that Edwards knockout. By the way, I also paid for the first time. I paid $20 to download DAZN, the fight app,
right?
Because that's what it cost me basically to watch a heavyweight championship fight. Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua was also Saturday in the afternoon, and that was a fun fight. You want to talk about a guy in Usyk who not nobody, but the bulk of people couldn't pick him out of the lineup, and he's the unified heavyweight champion. That used to be the biggest belt in the world.
For sure.
I mean, that used to be the biggest belt in the world.